There's been recent spate of killings across the Middle Belt from southern Kaduna to Benue and other Middle Belt states. Let's ask, what's your initial reactions with this spate of killings?
Well, it's a natural thing for the animal instincts in me to begin to think about survival on the side of reaction. On the other hand, one is being compelled to see the response from government as a form of complicity, because you expect that the government that is being saddled with the responsibility of protection of life and properties are now excusing murderers and taking from the victims to give to murderers in the name of ranching or cattle colonies so as to placate murderers. I mean, you know, it's a very sad situation.
Could you tell us, what really happened in southern Kaduna?
Well, in the southern Kaduna context, the killings have been there for a very long time. The difference here is the support, the federal support they are getting lately. And what do I mean by the killings has been there? In 1987, we had the Kafanchan issue, first and foremost, coming onto the front burner, where Muslim students were coming out against some Christian students over there. We all know how that story died, and then the Zangon Kataf riot of 91 that, with Zamani Lekot being indicted. And I think Bishop Kuka was writing a book, or he said he's even done with a book about judicial terrorism. I think that would give an insight as to what that thing is all about there. Then coming to the post-election violence, I'm talking about Southern Kaduna precisely right now. We have had series of crises that has seen to the dislodgement of our people right from, normally we used to be called Southern Zaria, from the south of Zaria. We have been pushed so back inside that now we have what we call Southern Kaduna, because there's a change in demography. It's constantly changing, because as these people come with violence, the people run away from violence, and then people from Mali, from Niger, from Chad now fill the void. And we are having foreigners settling in our lands. And with the policy of this man, it's not even helping issues. But then I have seen where some churches I've attended in areas like maybe Kao, all this Tudunwada and the rest. Some of the churches have even been converted to Islamic madrasas. Now that is what we get as Christians and what we are seeing. I'm telling you about personal experience, We now move from that side to look at the post-election violence. Of course, some of the clerics, Islamic clerics in the mosques, were looking at it from the religious perspective. And they were looking at it, it's a question of either you allow a Christian to become the president or you allow a Muslim to become the president. And if they declare Goodluck Jonathan winner, they are supposed to do something. At least they should do something, even if it doesn't change anything, but they should just do something. And of course, after the 2011 election, we had violence, because they were preaching about that violence right from before it happened. Now that is one side of the whole thing. Then the next thing we began to experience were killings in the rural areas in southern Kaduna precisely. You see, you have to appreciate the geography of Kaduna State to appreciate what I'm trying to talk about. In Kaduna, we have 3 senatorial zones. We have the Zone 1, Zone 2, and the Zone 3. Zone 3 is we have about 8 local governments in Zone 3. But in reality, the Southern Kaduna people are covering about 15 local governments. It's just what they call, what do you call this man's name? Gerrymandering. When you rearrange, to just favor a particular people against a particular people. So what we have right now that is cooking in southern Kaduna. It's a situation where some people decided to take a small problem and make it big for to pursue an agenda. Put it that way. And what is that agenda? You know, there is this talk about an ancient prophecy. You know, when Don Fodio came, you know, he did his jihad, and then after his jihad, the Ahmed Bello came and saw Nigeria as an estate of his great-great-grandfather, and that we have a situation where we have Buhari today thinking that he too has to like complete the job that, and you see the problem is a situation where building is very difficult. Healing is also very difficult. Only strong people can build and heal. Weak people destroy and they kill because it's easy to kill. It's easy to destroy. Compare building and destruction and compare healing and killing. You know, the easiest thing to do is killing and what? Destruction. But then we have, I don't want to digress too far from the question. What I'm trying to say here in a nutshell is when you have people who don't know what they want to give to society, you have people who don't know what they want to offer to community, they resort to doing the easy things.
That's the killing.
Yes, it's easy to kill. When you can't heal, at least you can kill.
Who are the killers? Who are the perpetrators?
The perpetrators are Fulani herdsmen supported by the state government and the federal government.
Now, let me take you up on that because the governor, in a recent interview, claims he paid some Fulani herdsmen to stop killings in the southern Kaduna. Meanwhile, he accused the Christian leaders and traditional rulers of igniting the crisis for selfish reasons. How do you respond to that?
You see, there is what we call misinformation, disinformation, propaganda. When you are waging a war against the people, you don't wage only the physical war, you also wage a war of propaganda. If you remember the Nazi Germany and Joseph Goebbels, these guys at a point in time, they told a lot of lies to the point they began to believe in their own lies. And that is exactly what is happening in southern Kaduna. That's why I said you appreciate the problem that is happening when you look at southern Kaduna geographically. If we have a Christian-dominated area in the south, and we have a Muslim-dominated area in the north, how comes this problem is restricted to the south? That's one. Now, if you're talking about farmer headers, are there farmers only in southern Kaduna? There are farmers in Zone 1, and there are farmers in Zone 2. But you don't find these killings there. So you can understand and appreciate where I'm coming from. It is not about farmers and herders. We must be very careful not to give this thing a very wrong description. It is an agenda of genocide and change of demography. Just to continue to change the demography. Now you can see when the governor came out and was saying that he went and paid the herdsmen, he's empowering them. That's another way of empowering them to continue in the killings. You see, if he had paid the herdsmen, like he said, and we don't have any more killings, then we can clap for him and tell him, wow, you've done a great job. After the payment, everything is fine. But after his payment, the killings intensified. Are you seeing it? After his payment, they become more audacious. And what we get from him is not a situation where he gets to arrest any of these persons doing the killings, but people who are coming out to criticize and condemn the killings. These are the people that are getting arrested. That is where you see state complicity with murderers. Now, payment of compensation. In the Constitution, government is given both human resources, the armed forces, and then material resources, how you want to call it, so that they can use it to uphold the Constitution, to do their primary responsibility of protection of lives and properties. How comes we're having a situation where government with these resources, the reason you have the armed forces under you you have those resources under you, is to enable you to be able to be more powerful than any non-state forces. But now you are admitting that a non-state force, like the Fulani herdsmen, is stronger than you, then you have to go pay them compensation. That you cannot use the resources at your disposal, both the military and material resources, to protect the people. So you have to pay murderers so that they can stop. Because by force, you can't stop them. You are admitting that you have failed. Now, the other thing we'll look at here is any government that is interested in protecting its people will not resort to paying compensation and empowering the murderers. That government, in America, for instance, at a point in time when robbers were disturbing them, the government came up with the guns legislation, allowing citizens to carry arms. Citizens carry arms not to fight war, but to defend themselves before help comes from the government. You know, we will not be there immediately. But if robbers should attack your house, use your weapons and hold them down. You know, you pin them down while you call 911. So, because you have a weapon, the robbers too, be careful. Before they can come on you, maybe the security now will now come and give you what? Backup. But at least your weapon will be your first line of defense. In this context, we have a situation where after the murderers may have finished killing everybody, or most of the people rather, the government forces will now come in and begin to search the victims, not the murderers, because you see, the murderers come and go. The victims are the people staying in the area. The victims are the ones you can see and search. So they come in and search the victims and disarm them of even table knives, that they are weapons, while the murderers are busy relaxing in the bush, planning another attack. And you see how this thing has been going. It's been going in such a way that it comes in, they come in like this today, they kill, they maim, they rape, they repeat the same thing tomorrow, the same style, the same way, the same route, and they are still not apprehended. And we are in a country with the DSS, with the NIA, with the police, and then you wonder what they're doing.
Something is really wrong with this.
I mean, how
security
can
architecture
yes? How
of the
can the
country.
same thing, the same way, the same method, the same casualty style, where you come, you chop off somebody's head, you smash a child's skull, you rip a woman's womb open and bring out fetus.
That is barbaric. There's also this narrative being, this narrative by the government that there is a narrative of exclusion by some section of people within southern Kaduna,
And
that the leaders, let me quickly tell you, that they only want indigents or people of a particular religion should live innocent. That was part of the reasons that they deduced. And that he also claimed that southern Kaduna leaders were overblowing the herdsmen killings in order to attract international funding. How is that?
You see, that is what I call, from the beginning of this interview, I call it misinformation and propaganda. That is what tells you the complicity of the governor in the killings. The governor is more concerned about funds that are coming from the international communities to victims of mass murder, much more than he's concerned about their welfare. I can tell you with all sense of decency, there are primary schools, government primary schools, where IDPs run to for shelter because their houses have been burnt and the government gave directives that they should leave. Is that government having a human face? Amen. Tell me. How can you cannot rehabilitate these people? You didn't do anything to ameliorate their pains, to assuage their anguish. Yet, where they managed to go seek for succor. You say it's government property, you don't want to see IDPs there, and you didn't provide them alternative settlement.
So
This happened in Southern Kaduna. I'm
so you
telling
mean the government has not provided any forms of
nothing.
welfare?
Yet the government is, of course, nothing. Yet the government is worried that funds are coming from abroad. You can imagine that. I may refer you to the speech of Bishop Kuka about, during the funeral service of Bishop Bogobiri. Then you will have an understanding what these things are on that base, on that side. But then I am looking at the other side of it. Government is supposed to be poor people. Government is supposed to be thinking about the welfare of the people, their protection, their security, whatever. And government cannot do that. Government should consider itself a colossal failure not to have secured these people, and to have, if it is a government with conscience, it will be worried that it is our own lapses that brought about to this attack. So we should do everything within our power to accommodate these people.
So what is the current situation of internally displaced people in Southern Kaduna right now?
You know, my people of Southern Kaduna, even though this is a Christian advocacy group that I'm representing here, but my people of Southern Kaduna are this kind of people who absorb back their people who are displaced. So if you go there, you won't see IDPs, because instead of an IDP to be parading all over the place and I have a place nearby, I give them a place to stay. That's how we are. We are hospitable. And it's because of our hospitality that the Fulanis could come and go anyhow they like. We are hospitable people. We don't like trouble. We can't even visit you with trouble. And you can see, if we visit people with trouble, the trouble will not be restricted to our zone, because we will export the trouble outside our area. You understand? But now, people are coming in and they are importing trouble to our area. And because we are not troublemakers, nobody is feeling any heat anywhere.
The president actually met with the Christian Association of Nigeria some couple of days back, and part of what he said was that how can he, a Fulani man, say to look at how people are being killed? In other words, he has human feelings. From the president's body language and his recent statements, will this bring succor to people in the Middle Belt and
You see, we have to be sincere about this whole thing. The government has to be sincere if she is really trying to bring an end to this situation.
How sincere, from your perspective and from your opinion, is this government towards actually securing the lives of people within the Middle Belt?
If you want me to rate them in percentage, I would say it's 0.0000, I don't know, till infinity %. The reason is they are complicit. They are part of the problem. They don't want to solve the problem because they are the problem. You cannot solve yourself. I'm telling you this in all sense of modesty. Now, look at it this way. Mr. President is referring to the situation as that he cannot support this against. Yet the same president will mobilize security to arrest a largely Birom people after that killings. You ask me, how can Birom people now turn their arms against themselves? And then there was this saying that they were, this thing that is making rounds now, that politicians are sponsoring some people to, just so that they can show the presidency in a bad light, like they cannot secure the people. And let me ask you this question. Would you carry arms and kill your brother or your sister or your father because you're angry with President Buhari? You just kill your father, your brother, or your sister so that people can see that President Buhari cannot secure them. I mean, if you are angry, you're angry with the president. So the way to show the world your anger, the way to embarrass Buhari is to kill your family, so that you can embarrass Buhari that you can't secure them. See, this is the problem. Now, when you look at Vanguard newspaper about 3 days ago, is it 4 days ago, you see a place where that statement, ranching or death. Look, the presidency is not even hiding where they are. They are not pretending anymore. If they were pretending before, there is no more pretense. The presidency look at a police IG could stand up and tell an elected governor that you're a drowning man. In a state that has been ravaged by continual killings. It did not bother the IG that they could not secure the citizens that have been killed. He was more bothered that Autumn was a drowning man. In a state where they could not secure the lives and properties of people, that's a fundamental responsibility of government. They are arresting former governor, and locking them up. I'm talking about the Plateau State. And you have mushroom groups or amorphous groups coming out, one group that came out lately and they were protesting that Tiwa Danjuma and Jang should be arrested. It's their inflammatory statement that brought about this explosion. I wonder whether Tiwa Danjuma and Jang were mobilizing herdsmen to go and do the killings. When you heard Tiwa Danjuma talking the other day at the Taraba University, you will see a man that was seriously hurt inside. And since he is a man given to few words, he has not been talking all this while.
Now, let's look at what should be done now. Some have called for a judicial commission of inquiry into these killings, which has not been done by the presidency, while others are agitating for the prosecutions of these merchants of deaths. What should be done from your perspective at this point in time in order to stem the tide of these killings?
You see, what should be done is honest leadership. That's what we need. Who will do it? Executive. Is that also? To execute what you're talking about right now. And then the executive is part of the problem, like I said earlier. So who will execute it? I'm sorry to sound pessimistic, but that's how I feel about it. If the executive is ready to solve the problem, then there could be things we could say to get the problem solved. But the situation where the executive is part of the problem, how do you want to come? Or rather, it is the problem, not even part of the problem. It is a problem. So how do you get the problem to solve itself? The solution to this problem lies with the Nigerian people. Their resilience to kick out bad leadership, their resilience to resist any attempt at rigging the next election, that's 2019, because I can assure you, the presidency are not prepared to come by popular vote. The Kaduna experiment should serve as a lesson to anybody who is looking to change this leadership by 2019. And the reason is, the presidency knew that I had the human rights, Chidi Odunkalu. There was one thing he said the other day that if Nigerians do not have poor memories about history, they will not have voted for Buhari. And I said, I don't share his opinion. And the reason is simple. I think he's under the illusion that Nigerians didn't have a good memory about history. But the truth of the matter is, Nigerians were very much informed. They knew Buhari was no good. They were not going to vote for him. They were forced into voting. That's those who voted for Buhari were forced to vote for him. And some others just have to do that to protect their interests. But they knew he was not the right man. Now, what will you interpret change idoli? What's the meaning of change idoli? Is that democracy? That's Hausa language for change is a must. And must, is it democracy? Does it give you the space to choose? What's democracy? Is it not choose? Is it not choice? And when they say must, I want to believe you have been restricted to follow a particular lane. You have no choice to follow otherwise. So they knew they got this thing through force. And the reason most Nigerians voted for them back then was that Nigerians were under the illusion that they were going to end herdsmen killing and also end Boko Haram menace. Let me tell you, I voted for him. And that was the worst mistake I've ever done in my life.
Do you vote for him come 2019?
No! I voted for him to 2015. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yes, that's me.
Will you vote for him in 2019?
I think maybe I'll have to die before that time. Because I'm just trying to land on this matter.
I understand.
Now, what I'm trying to say here is that these people have no intention to get back to that seat through popular votes. Nigerians must not deceive themselves that it's about PVC. Nigerians must understand that it has to go beyond PVC. They must stand there and make sure that whatever they drop counts. And see to it that they kick this man out against all odds. Already they know they are going out. So when we have better leadership, we can talk about this solution to this problem.
Mr. George Makeri, thank you very much for appearing on Sahara TV. We appreciate your insightful perspective on this issue.